We will now give an overview of the differences in the database design between MySQL and NoSQL databases like MongoDB. MySQL is a relational database management system ideal for storing and managing structured data and writing complex queries. In contrast, NoSQL databases like MongoDB cater to unstructured data, providing flexibility and scalability. We will now discuss the database design in MySQL. MySQL excels at storing structured data that fit neatly into rows and columns. This allows programmers to write complex queries to obtain insights from the data. The database design complies with ACID, which stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Atomicity means that all commands in a statement are executed at once. In any case of any issues, the whole statement will not be executed. This helps prevent data loss and maintains the integrity of the data. Consistency means that any errors in the data do not affect the integrity. Isolation means that the statements written by different users are isolated from each other and do not affect each other. Durability means that the changes to the data made from the queries are saved even if there is a system failure. We will now discuss the database design in NoSQL databases. We will use the example of MongoDB. MongoDB has a flexible data model and can be used with unstructured, semi-structured, and structured data. The data is stored in JSON-like documents. The database design allows flexibility and scalability. The database can easily scale horizontally to handle large amounts of data. It is also designed for fast read and write operations, which is a consequence of the database design.
Hi, my name is Afeef, and today I'll be going through question 6. Question 6 basically asks if there are any correlations between flight hours, length of stay, and various preferences. Firstly, the correlation between the mean length of stay to mean flight duration ratio, which is the y-axis, and the mean ones of in-flight meals to mean flight duration ratio, x-axis, is seen in this scatter plot. These two variables appear to have a very weak positive association as indicated by the R-square value of 0.0309. A thorough examination of the possible causes of this weak link may be due to the following reasons. The first and foremost reason will be passenger behavior. Requesting meals may be motivated by dietary customs, cultural conventions, or personal preferences that are unrelated to the length of stay at the destination. Similarly, the duration of a journey may be determined by outside variables such as the purpose of the trip, leisure versus business, which is not directly impacted by the demand for in-flight meals. As such, this leads to a weak correlation between the two factors. Furthermore, only over 3.09% of the variance in the y-axis variable is explained by the x-axis variable. This indicates that variables other than in-flight food demand accounts for most of the variance in the mean length of stay ratio. Although they're not taken into consideration in this analysis, factors such as aircraft class, airline policy, regional norms, and passenger demographics probably have an impact on meal preferences and stay durations. For instance, passengers on low-cost flights might skip meals regardless of how long the flight is, but passengers on high-end flights might always order meals. Due to these multifactorial influences, there is a weak correlation between both factors. Moving on, in this scatter plot for baggage insights, the correlation between the mean length of stay to mean flight duration ratio y-axis and the mean ones of extra baggage to mean flight duration ratio x-axis is shown. Although stronger than the previous example, the R-square value of 0.1118 still only explains roughly 11.18% of the variation in the y-axis variable, indicating a modest positive correlation. Analyzing the scatter plot, the trend line's moderate upward slope suggests that travelers who require more extra baggage typically stay at their destination longer. This might be because of extended stays where those that stay longer may bring more stuff, which will require more luggage. There's also the purpose of trip, where compared to short-term business travelers, vacationers, students, or professionals moving for extended periods of time may need more luggage. Now, the reason as to why the correlation is this way might be due to travel purpose, where the overall correlation is diluted because business and leisure travelers have various packing requirements and lengths of stay. There are also airline policies that need to be taken note of, where patterns may be obscured by differences in baggage limitations between budget and premium flights. Lastly, there's the factor of travel destinations, which dictate the criteria for additional baggage, which vary depending on the location. For example, colder areas require more luggage. Furthermore, there are variations in travelers' packing preferences since they differ greatly depending on cultural norms, individual habits, and perceived demands. As such, due to these above mentioned reasons, there is a positive weak correlation between both factors. Lastly, moving on to seat insights, we notice that there is a very weak correlation between the mean length of stay to mean flight ratio and the mean ones of preferred seat to mean flight duration ratio, an R square of 0.004. Upon analysis, we discovered that this trend could be attributed to many reasons. Firstly, on lengthy flights, fewer passengers choose their preferred seats. As comfort during lengthy hours becomes more about total amenities and less on seat location, passengers on long-haul flights may select other in-flight amenities, such as meals or baggage, over preferred seats. The way the seat allocation dynamics work is different as well. Airlines frequently provide features like bigger seats, more legroom, or various cabin arrangements, like premium economy, for longer flights, which eliminates the need for particular seat preferences. Hence, passengers are less likely to change seats. Secondly, there's also the issue of cost sensitivity for long-haul flights. In general, long-haul flights cost more. As such, fewer seat preferences may be sought as a result of passengers avoiding paying extra fees for seat selection in an effort to lower overall travel expenses. Passengers are also more likely to focus on essentials and center their focus more on spending on necessities like meals or baggages over seat preferences. So, due to these reasons, there's a weak correlation between both factors. Now, I'll be passing my time on over to Dhruv, who will be guiding you all through question 7.
Coming on to the airline seasonality analysis, let's begin with the general observations. Qatar Airways consistently outperforms Singapore Airlines in average ratings for all metrics, including seat comfort, food and beverages, in-flight entertainment, value for money, and overall rating. This trend holds true across all travel classes and in both seasonal and non-seasonal periods. However, during the seasonal period from June to September, both airlines experience a slight decline in ratings, likely due to increased passenger volumes and operational challenges. Now let's look at some class-specific insights, starting with the business class. In business class, Qatar Airways maintains higher ratings overall. For instance, its overall rating is slightly higher during the seasonal period at 7.39 compared to 7.35 in the non-seasonal period. Singapore Airlines also sees improvement in the seasonal period, with its overall rating increasing to 7.43 from 7.13 in the non-seasonal period. When comparing specific metrics, Singapore Airlines, while competitive in value for money, that is 3.62 in non-seasonal period versus 3.86 in seasonal period, consistently lags behind Qatar Airways in most other metrics. Moving to the economy class, Qatar Airways again leads across all metrics. Its overall rating is 7.25 during the non-seasonal period compared to 6.39 for Singapore Airlines. However, both airlines see a drop in rating during the seasonal period. For example, Qatar Airways seat comfort decreases from 3.98 to 3.93, food and beverages drops from 4.18 to 3.95, and value for money drops from 3.84 to 3.50. Similarly, Singapore Airlines shows a decline, with seat comfort falling from 3.73 to 3.64, and food and beverages decreasing from 3.61 to 3.33. Despite these seasonal challenges, Qatar Airways maintains a stronger position in customer satisfaction. Next is the first class. In first class, Singapore Airlines achieves an impressive overall rating of 9.63 in the non-seasonal period, dropping slightly to 8 during the seasonal period. Although most of the other metrics are almost the same, there's a significant gap in value for money for both the periods, with Singapore Airlines in the lead. Last but not the least is the premium economy. In premium economy, Qatar Airways achieves a perfect overall rating of 10 in both seasonal and non-seasonal periods, reflecting exceptional service consistency. Singapore Airlines, however, struggles in comparison. Its overall rating is 5.81 during the non-seasonal period and 5.69 during the seasonal period. Key gaps are seen in value for money, with Singapore Airlines scoring 2.76 during the seasonal period and 3 during the non-seasonal period, far behind Qatar Airways' consistent rating of 5. These results emphasize a significant gap in perceived value and service in premium economy for Singapore Airlines. Now let's discuss some data-driven insights from this analysis. First is the operational challenges during seasonal periods. Both airlines experience a slight dip in ratings for seasonal periods, possibly due to challenges such as high demand, increased passenger load, and constrained resources. Next is the in-flight entertainment and value for money. These two metrics show the most significant room for improvement for Singapore Airlines, especially in premium economy and economy class. Last but not the least is the consistency in premium services. Qatar Airways shows exceptional consistency in its premium services, especially first class and premium economy, maintaining high ratings even during seasonal periods. Finally, here are the recommendations for Singapore Airlines. First is to improve value for money. This can be done by offering competitive pricing and value-added services for economy and premium economy. This can also be done by introducing seasonal promotions and loyalty rewards during peak periods to enhance perceived value. Next is to enhance in-flight entertainment. It can be achieved by investing in modern, diverse, and engaging content, as well as by personalizing content offerings to meet customer preferences. Last but not the least is to optimize seasonal operations. There are a few ways to do that. First is by strengthening staffing, streamlining boarding, and allocating resources effectively during busy periods. Another way is by proactively communicating with customers and implementing service recovery strategies to address delays or disruptions. By addressing these areas, Singapore Airlines can improve customer satisfaction and better compete with Qatar Airways, particularly in economy and premium economy classes.
We then analyzed the common complaints across all airlines through text mining of the reviews. A total of 429 reviews were obtained and analyzed. We obtained the top 20 common backgrounds and grouped them into categories. The common categories of complaints obtained through text mining across all airlines are given in the table. From this table, we see that the lounge access and class issues and the customer service issues are the most complained about in reviews aggregated across all airlines. The category which is the least complained about is seat issues. We then looked at the common issues per airline to get a closer look at the common complaints among the different airlines. We analyzed the common complaints for Qatar Airways and Singapore Airlines. A similar result is obtained from the text mining analysis of the reviews per airline. We first analyzed the reviews for Qatar Airways. A total of 185 reviews were analyzed for Qatar Airways. The result from the text mining analysis is as below. From the table, we can see that lounge access and class issues is the category that is the most complained about, followed by flight delay complaints. Moreover, customer service and seat issues are the least complained about. We then analyzed the reviews for Singapore Airlines. A total of 244 reviews were analyzed for Singapore Airlines. The result from the text mining is given in the table. From the table, we see that the lounge access and class issues is the category that is the most complained about, followed by the customer service complaints. Also, flight delay and seat issues are the least complained about categories. Now, comparing the text mining analysis for Qatar Airways and Singapore Airlines to the text mining analysis done for all airlines, we see that lounge access and class issues and customer service issues constitute the most amount of complaints. While Qatar Airways has less complaints for customer service and lounge access, Singapore Airlines excels in running their flights on time and having less seat issues. We also conducted text mining analysis for the reviews across the different types of travelers. We analyzed reviews for 4 types of travelers: solo leisure, couple leisure, business, and family leisure. We first analyzed the reviews for travelers under the category of solo leisure. A total of 155 reviews were analyzed for this category. From this table, we see that among solo travelers, lounge access and class issues is the category that is the most complained about, followed by the customer service complaints. Customer service is followed by flight delay issues, and lastly, seat issues are the least complained about. We then analyzed the reviews for travelers under the category of couple leisure. A total of 120 reviews were analyzed for this category. From the table, we see that among couple travelers, lounge access and class issues is still the category that's the most complained about, followed by the customer service complaints. On the other hand, flight delay issues are mentioned much less frequently, and there seem to be no issues under the seat issue category. We then analyzed the reviews for travelers under the category of business. A total of 1,600 reviews were analyzed for this category. From the table, we see that among business travelers, lounge access and class issues and seat issues are the most complained about, followed by customer service complaints. On the other hand, flight delay issues are mentioned much less frequently. Lastly, we analyzed the reviews for travelers under the category of family leisure. A total of 85 reviews were analyzed for this category. From the table, we see that among family travelers, lounge access, class issues, and customer service are the most complained about. Flight delay issues and seat issues are mentioned much less frequently. Among family travelers, seat issues complaints mostly comprise issues of availability of the bassinet seats.
For question 8, to see what are the common complaints, we first see the average rating for each category per airline for a simpler view. Value for money is the worst issue for both airlines. For Qatar Airways, the second worst category is seat comfort, and the third worst is food and beverages, and it's the reverse for Singapore Airlines. Both airlines have in-flight entertainment and staff service as their fourth and fifth worst rated categories. Now, by looking at what specific issues there are by looking at the keywords in the reviews, in terms of food and beverage issues, reviews that mention beverages tend to have a higher percentage of negative reviews than those that mention food. In terms of which meals are more problematic, people seem to complain more about snacks, followed by lunch and dinner. Breakfast seems to be the lowest proportion of negative reviews. In terms of seat comfort, a high proportion of people seem to complain about the leg room, which the airline should address, while a lower proportion of people directly complain about the comfort of the seat. In terms of the demeanor of the staff, more people complain about the care and politeness of the staff, which can be worked on, while friendliness and helpfulness seem to be the best qualities of the staff. Addressing what are the top 5 issues, looking at average rating in general, value for money is generally the most common issue across most airlines and types of travelers, followed by food and beverage issues, seat comfort, and in-flight entertainment issues. Staff service is generally the least common issue out of all 5 issues. However, there are variations between different airlines and types of travelers, as shown in the bar chart showing average ratings over here. For question 9, in terms of any systematic differences between pre- and post-COVID, average overall ratings drop during COVID but increases post-COVID past pre-COVID ratings. This could be because of the restrictive travel requirements, which may have negatively impacted the travel experience during COVID, such as requiring ART tests and mandatory quarantine. In addition, average seat comfort and food and beverage had a slight decrease in rating pre to post-COVID. Average rating for in-flight entertainment had a slight increase pre to post-COVID, while average rating for value of money decreased during COVID and increased after COVID past its pre-COVID rating. Plotting the average ratings for complaints for different types of travelers, business travelers have more complaints in terms of the value of money post-COVID for food and beverages pre-COVID, while couples traveling for leisure complain more of the seat comfort post-COVID as opposed to staff service pre-COVID. Families traveling for leisure mostly complain of the value for money throughout, while solo travelers had more of an issue with the staff service post-COVID compared to the value of money pre-COVID. In terms of what else contributed to the strong performance of Singapore Airlines in recent periods, in general, in the aviation industry, the relaxing of COVID-19 travel restrictions in Singapore, Asia, and other countries restored demand as people caught up with travel for business trips, vacations, and visiting overseas family. The rise in e-commerce due to the COVID-19 restrictions also drives cargo demand for the airline. In addition, Singapore is the venue for many events and concerts, which attract more foreign visitors and increases demand for air travel to and from Singapore. An example of this is the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concerts, where Singapore was its exclusive Southeast Asian stop, attracting fans from neighboring countries to travel to Singapore.
We see similar findings through the text mining analysis. A total of 575 reviews were analyzed for pre-COVID, 83 reviews were analyzed for during COVID, and 245 reviews were analyzed for post-COVID. The most common categories for the pre-COVID, during COVID, and the post-COVID periods are given in the tables. From the 3 tables, we see that Although the percentage of complaints for lounge access and class issues and customer service issues have decreased from pre-COVID to post-COVID, these issues still persist. However, we see a decrease in the complaints about flight delays from pre-COVID to post-COVID. This suggests that Singapore Airlines has improved its services in almost all categories as people start traveling overseas again post-COVID. We will now discuss some reasons for the recent strong performance of Singapore Airlines.
Hello, I'm Nathaniel, and I'll be presenting on question 10. So in this case, we are introduced to the recent turbulence case that hit SQ321, and its occurrence raises a question on how a general customer service chatbot can be designed if customers face these special circumstances. So the question that I'll be answering is how exactly can we design an unmanned chatbot to guide customers for sensitive issues like these? So our team proposed a 4-step solution. The first goal is to ensure the data available for the chatbot has good integrity. Thus, we have steps 1 and steps 2. First, to improve the database we were given and provide some cleaning. Steps 3 proposes a way to identify the extenuating circumstance that is faced by the customer. And lastly, we conclude on how the chatbot can be designed after all this data is available. So from the first 2 tables we were first given, we separated out the customer details into a separate table and included a primary key for all tables to fulfill the third normalization form requirement. The entity relationship diagram is shown here, clearly depicting the relationship between each entity and the type of primary or foreign keys that they use. Ultimately, the design uses customer ID to identify customers, and review ID and chat ID were introduced to uniquely identify the reviews and support chats provided by the customer. We also decided on a system to help flag chats and reviews that fall under an extenuating circumstance. This is done through a keyword dictionary and tables to highlight the presence of keywords in each chat and review. Using the turbulence case, for example, we can account for lexical variations where some customers use words like bumpy, shaky as an alternate description for flight turbulence. Now for the data cleaning. So when looking through the entries, one thing that I noticed was the presence of punctuations and capitalizations for new sentences or certain objects. For optimal performance, we need to make sure the entries the chatbot has access to are actually consistent in structure and presentation. So we first used upper to capitalize all letters to ensure consistent presentation. And we also replaced the punctuations such as semicolons, commas, and full stops with an empty space to help with formatting and tokenization. Next, issue identification. For the chatbot to correctly identify the type of problems, there are actually 2 main issues that I felt were very prevalent. Firstly is lexical variations, where different words can be used to describe the same issues. Next will be the misspellings that are introduced by the customer. For example, turbulence with A instead of an E. While the keyword dictionary helps to solve this, it is not all-encompassing, and a more dynamic approach is definitely needed. So MySQL provides 2 possible solutions. Firstly, SoundX helps to match words based on phonetics, how they sound. So for example, shake and shaky has the SH vowel at the start, and they will both have the same code and hence marked as the same word. Next is the Levenstein distance. It is a function that measures the difference in words by checking the number of edits required. So for example, in the first entry in this table, the table only requires 1 deletion of M. And based on the value we set, such as maybe only 2 edits allowed, we can decide on whether these words are similar. Of course, another technique that we learned in our class is using flags based on wildcards. Create a case where this wildcard fits this requirement. And this is actually used in our MongoDB instance, as MongoDB doesn't have the SoundX or Levenstein distance functions inbuilt. However, I noticed that these are less reliable than the SoundX and Levenstein distance. So we will use these 2 as the main highlight for our proof of concept. So after ensuring the data available to the chatbot is correct with consistent formatting, we have this. The 4 main considerations required on how the chatbot interacts with the customers. So firstly, will be speech mannerisms. Chatbot needs to adopt a formal and apologetic tone, especially since we know that the customers have gone through some extenuating circumstance. Casual speech and abbreviations should be avoided, and we should also have a pre-established response for each special circumstance that we define in the keyword dictionary. Next is the compensation. The chatbot should not promise or guarantee anything in any form, especially considering the lawsuit faced by Air Canada. Instead, the chatbot should only help state airline policies and redirect customers to intended pathways like refund FAQs or escalation. That's another example. And then next will be the context identification. I feel that customers will feel that they are more heard or listened to if we personalize the experience. That is one of the reasons why I provided the customer ID. By providing a customer ID, the chatbot will be able to gather data on all of the reviews, all of the past experiences of the customer, and better personalize the experience. Simple gestures such as stating the flight number they were on can actually go a long way to make them feel like they're heard. And lastly is escalations. So while no chatbot is perfect with no chatbot is perfect. So we can use the intent column that requests for live agents or flags for injury and death being mentioned in the text as a marker to decide whether we should automatically escalate these cases and avoid chatbot handling it due to their sensitive nature, thus avoiding any bad circumstances that might not be ideal. And thus, I conclude the presentation here. Thank you all for listening.